Hello and welcome to another Tim Talk podcast by Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jarrod, and joining me tonight is Matthew McCarthy. How you going, Matt?
Thanks for having me, Jarrod. Yeah, really good.
So you're a Celtic fan over here in Melbourne, Australia. Do you want to give us a bit of a intro on yourself and how you became a Celtic fan?
Yep, so I am born and raised in Melbourne, Australia. I'm 36. I've been a fan of Celtic as long as I can remember, so until about 4 years old. So I'm traditionally both half Scottish, half Irish, like most fans. So obviously I get my love from Celtic from my Irish side of the family. And my mum's side of the family is the Scottish side. So I have a split family when it comes to loyalty with our teams. But that's how I became influenced by my granddad on my dad's side.
Well, you ended up on the right side for my liking, so that's a good thing.
I did. It could have gone either way. So my mum's family, which I'm really more connected to, is from Falkirk. My granddad was actually an apprentice for Aberdeen. And majority of that part of the family in Scotland, of course, are Rangers supporters. And I think there's one other cousin and we're the only two green and white.
Nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing. It's funny when you hear of these crossover families. Like, I know a few people have got the same sort of thing there. So I think I honestly only know probably 2 Rangers fans in my whole world. The rest of them I don't have time for. So you don't have that luxury.
It's funny. So like one of my cousins or my mum's cousins, we can banter and we have a good chat about it and we can rev each other up and have a laugh and stuff. But then there's some I just can't talk to them about it. They get on the blow to mum and like, oh, sort your son out. Oh, come on, man. It's just because it's a weird, we're here in Australia. We don't live and die like they do by it. I guess being over here, we're removed from that world somewhat. But it is what it is. Yep. I know when to pick my battles.
It's kind of funny to say that. It's like something one of the guys on our normal podcast, Liam, said about the ones you can banter with, they're Rangers fans, and the ones who are trying to change you and are just aggressive about it, they're Huns. That's the difference.
Yeah, yes, that is exactly right. Like, obviously with Scotland in the Euros, a lot of them are raging about it. Like, I'm not supporting Scotland. I'm like, why not? Like, this is the one time we put our swords down and we come together. We should be right behind the Scottish team. But no, to let a sports club dictate your politics really, as I get older, I find I try and distance myself more from that. I know it was such a big thing for a long time, but I think it's time to get progressive with that sort of stuff. And that's how I am. Like, I got a son now and I try and keep an open mind with all of that way of life, especially now he's starting to take an interest in sport.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like as you get older, it just changes, like your priorities. As you just said, you got a son, so you're not going to be the sort just going, rah, 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 come on, all this sort of stuff. It's all about Celtic when you've got your kid to concentrate on, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And again, it's not our way of life here in Australia as it is over there. So it's a bit weird. Like, I see it in A-League, and I know you're a Victory supporter. I see how some of them behave here, like they try and emulate Europe. I'm like, if you want the game to grow here, try and do it in an Australian way. That's how I've always looked at it. Like, with sports that are not Australian sports. Baseball's another example. Here in Australia, I've been to one baseball game because the stadium's right near my house, and it was all Americanized. And I'm like, oh, if you want this to grow, don't be like that. Like, Australians don't like not being Australian. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's more a Melbourne thing, to be honest with you, because you go up into Sydney with the NRL, because I'm a Melbourne Storm season ticket holder as well, and you go up there and everyone hates us because we've been winning for so long. But it's the tribalism that they have up there in their sports, but the away fans don't travel and the fans don't really mingle. And then you'll come down to Melbourne, you can go to an AFL game, and I could, like, you're a Brisbane Lions fan, I'm an Essendon fan in the AFL. So we could go to a game, sit next to each other, have everyone intermingled within the stadium, and you're not going to have much trouble unless Collingwood's involved, basically, or Richmond. So it's one of those ones where in Melbourne, it's a lot more forgiving, but I understand what you're saying.
You're right. Like, even when a family have come out, we've taken them to AFL games, they're like, what are you doing? Why are we sitting? Why do we interact? Like, you're not going to get stabbed here. Like, there's no dead man zone. Don't worry. Like, that whistle goes or the siren goes, we walk off, we have a laugh, and game's over. Like, but what I've noticed with sport in Sydney, they just don't have. Like, I've been to Sydney and Brisbane for sporting events. They just don't have that passion like Melbourne does. I'm not saying Brisbane has it, but not like Melbourne. Melbourne is just a world above the rest. I can't speak for Adelaide and Western Australia because I've never been there for sporting events. But, what it's like in Melbourne compared to Sydney is super intense. But, again, you can go and enjoy yourself at the same time.
Yeah, Western Australia is probably the closest I've found to Melbourne.
Yeah, obviously, like with the West Coast and Freo and Perth Glory, because they're a standalone team over there. The only one from the NSL. So,
and then you got the basketball team, one town.
Oh yeah, the Wildcats.
All that sort of thing there.
Isn't that who's in the finals now?
Yeah, they're playing against the Melbourne team. So they're going for their third straight. So it's interesting the sports culture over here, how different it is to Europe. Like I got a mate who came over, massive Man United fan. You couldn't believe we could drink beer in the stadium.
Yeah, that's their thing. They load up before a game. Isn't that why their games are only at certain times? Like night games are during the week because they can't. So if you have a game on a Saturday night, they load up and just go feral.
He was telling me he went to a game at West Ham. So travelling down from Manchester, they travel down. They leave at whatever stupid o'clock. Get on the bus, travel down. They're all just piling on the cans the whole 6, 7 in the morning. By the time they walk into the stadium at 11 o'clock for a midday kickoff, they're all gone.
Yeah, they're all for a skinful, which it could be fun, but yeah, they don't. They go pretty intense. It's like when you see them travel abroad and they cause a ruckus. It's a bit shit. But actually, I've been following a lot of the Scottish boys, and that has been such a great weekend seeing all that.
All right, so we'll jump back into Celtic then. So we'll touch on it quickly. What was your review of last season? Who were your top performers, and who do you think underperformed?
I know he led the goal scoring for the league, but Edwin did disappoint me. Just his attitude, he just seemed like he was already gone. He frustrated the hell out of me. He's such a brilliant player, but yeah, he underperformed. All the loanies we got, they just weren't up to it. Favorite player to watch? And one of the questions you've got for me later, Christopher Aya. He was head and shoulders above the rest, but he's clearly out the door too. And David Turnbull, that's been a great signing. Always was going to be. So they're probably the two of, Aya and Turnbull for me, and Edwin and all the Kamala, what's his name, Ayeta, and Laxall. I really wanted Laxall to work. Oh, and of course Shane Duffy. Poor, I really wanted to go into bat for him, but hey, it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
In my opinion, it was all the loanees. They came in, they played well for 2-3 games, and then started to just lower their standards.
They just dropped off, didn't they?
So, Laxalt comes in from AC Milan for the first 2 or 3 games. I thought he was probably one of our better players, and then by the end of the season, you didn't even know if he was out there.
No,
and then you had the same with Duffy. He comes on, a couple of headers. We're thinking it's a big, no-nonsense centre-back that we need. He can give us an aerial target in the box, and then he does nothing after his first 2 games. Same, Kenny comes in, does nothing.
Yeah, he was, I don't know, I said the point in that one. We missed
Anthony Ralston. There you go.
Sorry?
It's Everton's Anthony Ralston.
Yeah. But yeah, we missed Big Julian big time. So hopefully he's fit and ready to go. I wanted to see more youth academy players, some homegrown talent. I really wish they'd have done that. It was just a shambles. It just looked like part of it was going to happen. Like a lot of people just thought it would happen, and it clearly wasn't. It's a funny old league in Scotland. You can't take a breath and reset. It's because it's a two-horse town, really, unfortunately. It's either you live and die, like by the sword. Like, so Celtic lose and they just get hammered. And now Rangers is, they're sitting there having a laugh, and you can't reset and take time to rebuild. It's got to be straight away. Not like, the main sport here in Australia, like people have cycles of like 5 or 6 years rebuilds. You just don't get that opportunity. It's go.
Yeah, not unless you're a team like Dundee United, for instance, who sold all their good players to us back in the day and then dropped down, got relegated, rebuilt, and now
here they are. They're not a bad. So who, like Andy Robinson played there. Stuart Armstrong came from there.
Yeah, they had Mackay Stevens, Nydia Chifty. They had a couple of other guys there as well. I can't remember at the moment, but they had a decent squad.
They did, and but now they've worked their way back up. My hope is not for Celtic is I want the Scottish League to be strong. I really do. I think not just Celtic. Obviously, I want Celtic to win everything. Of course, I'm not one of these it gets boring winning. No, it doesn't. But you do want the league to be as best as it can. It's a tough league, like physical, and that's why I think Ange will be good. But we'll get into that. But yeah, when Scottish football is good, I reckon. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the Scottish League missed a trick with not bringing in financial fair play when Rangers died and they were suddenly zombies coming up through the different levels. If they brought in financial fair play, Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, Dundee, United, those sort of clubs, even St Johnstone, who are pretty financially secure, would have been a lot better off because then teams would have been investing long term in their youth academies. But the fact of the matter is, as you said, you wanted to bring through some young players. Under Lenny, that wasn't going to happen. First of all, and different story. But at the same time, if financial fair play was brought in, then Rangers coming up wouldn't have been able to financially go the way they have to get to where they are at the moment.
Yeah. And what was I going to say? Because there were some of those years where Rangers were down that I sort of just tuned out a bit. I think the last season of Ronnie, it sort of we won it, but Aberdeen bottled it. Like that, I honestly thought that was theirs. Like they should have won that league that year. But hey, it is what it is. We'll still take the win, won't we?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as we just touched on then with Ange coming in, what's your take on the club structure at present? Like, we've got Ange coming as a manager, which I want to get your point of view on what sort of job you think he'll do as an Australian. But also, do you think the club needs to bring in a director of football above him to oversee recruitment, overseeing the youth academy, the Colts, and everything? Or do you think it should just be the same structure we had under Rodgers, where it's manager and they run their show? So,
I think I definitely think a director of football is needed. Look, Brendan, he's a world-class manager. Like he's just gone. He's just shown like what he's doing at Leicester. He's doing great things. Like you're not going to get a Brendan Rodgers every time we have a manager. So I think, especially for Ange, first time in Europe, he's going to need all the help he can get. Hopefully he gets it. So I know Harkin from Man City was the talk, but that's not happening, is it?
No, he's staying where he is.
Yeah. But I think Gordon's going to come back and do it. Is that the word? Because his son, Gavin's there.
The talk is Gordon Strachan coming in. For me, that's not what I want to see, but...
you kind of want someone outside that might be unbiased and like just call it as it is. But I do think Ange will need that sort of support. I'm very happy with the appointment of Ange. I was rapt because, again, Australia and Scotland have a very similar attitude, and I think his no-nonsense approach, we know every team he's coached here has been great. 2 A-League titles. He would have had a third with Victory, but he took the Australian job mid-season because they were flying at the time. And he made, probably that was the best Australian team, the style, when he was at the head playing. So I've been fighting with Celtic fans about it on Twitter no end when he was announced. Like, who is he? What's he done? Who cares? I'm like, I don't see any Scottish managers at World Cups, mate. So
my response to a lot of people was, do you want him, who's got all this track record, or do you want Roy Keane or Jack Ross? They're your options.
Well, Roy Keane, he was a manager 10 years ago, and he did nothing then. Jack Ross is doing okay with Hibs. Okay. But why are we going for just okay? Like, we want something world-class. Like, we had a real world-class with Brendan, but we're going to get what's available and what they're willing to spend. And I think Ange I think it's a good fit. It's a big risk. I'm not happy with the idea they've given him a 12-month rolling contract. Like, is that what Eddie Howe was going to get?
It's what everyone gets at Celtic. Even Rodgers had that when he came in.
Oh, did he?
He had that for his first year.
Done the homework on that one.
After the treble, he signed a 5-year deal.
So, we'll see. That's the thing. Like, Ange doesn't have the time he will need to prove success straight away, or that's it. Which I'm looking forward to him just playing better football, because what they served up last year was hard to watch. It really was. Just the fitness of the players was right off. That's
what I think Ange's biggest issue will be coming in, other than recruitment with people wanting to leave, will be getting the team fit, because they were that unfit last season, and the way Ange's teams like to play, they've got to be the fittest and most supremely conditioned team there is in the league by a long shot. And with where we're coming from, I think that's going to be his biggest issue.
Big time. Look, one difference I have, and is a bit of a talking point, is Lee Griffith. Last off-season, all he was worried about was making stupid TikToks and stuff. But now I see him putting in the work, getting a personal trainer. So he clearly wants to have one last crack. And you know what? I think Ange and him, I did talk, and that sounds positive. So I want to see him, have one roll of the dice, showing what he's got. Actually, my cousin mentioned, I spoke to him after the Czech Republic game with Scotland, and he's like, he should have been out there, Lee Griffith. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe in that last 20 minutes he could have come out and put stuff away. But see how he goes.
Yeah, it's got a long... The one thing with Ange when he comes in, as he always says, it gives everyone a clean slate. So Griffiths could be a surprise for us, but at the same time, he's got a lot of making up to do to the support.
Big time. He really does. But he's putting his best foot forward so far. So that's what we're waiting on.
All right. So we'll jump on to the next thing, which is we just touched on about recruitment. How do you think it's been over the last 12 to 18 months?
Well, we said at the top about the loanees, they did nothing.
How about Yeti and Barkas? Guys, we spent £10 million on.
Yeah, no good. Well, they're one goalkeeper. Have to get a world-class keeper. Bain is all right, but he's not your main man. I think I read today about Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's the talk. Apparently,
Matt Ryan would be a good one, especially working with Ange.
Yeah, £3 to £5 million they're saying for him for the transfer, and be interesting to see if it happens, because if he comes in, like I said on there, on another Tim talk that we've just released this today, well, yeah, if we can get him in, then that's 15 points a season you'll make up in the same way that McGregor's done that for Rangers, then that's the sort of level we need, because Bain is not a starting quality keeper. I've been saying that for years. He needs to be either the guy off your bench or he needs to go. Barkas, I don't know about him because I've never seen him make a save, but he's apparently a ball-playing goalkeeper, so that would suit the way Ange likes to play. But if he doesn't have the shot-stopping ability, who knows? So it's going to be an interesting one. And then Hazard, I want to see him go out on loan to a Premier League team for the whole.
Get him some experience because, he has his boot moment, like obviously the Scottish Cup, making, penalty saves in a shootout in his third ever appearance. For a kid, that's massive. But yeah, he still needs to get the experience under his belt.
If he was to go somewhere like Ross County for 12 months or something like that, or Dundee United, if Siegrist leaves, get him in there for 12 months, that'd be perfect for him.
Big time.
Like in the experience you get at that level, so not at a relegation-threatened premiership team, but a middle tier one.
Mid-table that you can want to make an impact.
Exactly. Want to get into the top 6. His development in the 12-month period would be a couple of years' worth of experience in that role rather than going down to a bottom feeder.
Big time. I don't know if it was the right, but I know he's getting on, Craig Gordon. He was one of my favourite Celtic players ever. I was going to talk about that too coming up. I always loved watching Craig Gordon. Not that I'm a keeper myself, but he was just super reliable to me. Just went about it. People may have different opinions, but I really rated Craig. But yeah, had to do what we had to do, didn't we? He wanted to play senior. First team football, and he wasn't getting it, so home he went.
I think it was more about the pay packet more than anything, if you ask me, because if you're going to be, they're trying to get all their ducks in a row to bring in Fraser Forster, which didn't happen. And if you've got Craig Gordon wanting a certain amount of money and he's not guaranteed to be first drop, they're thinking, okay, we'll keep that money, we'll push that Forster's way, and then that never happened, and at that point he was already out the door. So,
yeah. Well, wasn't he a machine? So if they had got him, I reckon that would have been a big difference if he had stayed too. A very big difference into how this season went.
Yep, agreed. So you touched on it earlier about Odsonne Edouard and Chris Iyer potentially leaving. Do you think there's anyone else that's going to be moving on? We already had the loanees have gone. Who else do you think, if there's anyone?
I think Hendry is going to sign for that, what are they called? Belgium club?
Yep, who stand?
And I'm pretty Ryan Christie. I reckon he's going to go. Which I'm a bit torn between because he's brilliant. His best is the best, is incredible, but it's few and far between. He's inconsistency does my head in, especially this season. But yeah, time will tell. If he stays, cool. But I think Ryan Christie would be the one to go as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're going to have guys like Christie, Iyer, Edouard. You'll probably see one of Bain and Barker leave, and probably see someone like Cham leave as well.
I think Cham, he's not coming back. Yeah. I resigned to that a while ago. He wanted out, and that's what they did. So they gave it him.
The other one I'm thinking about is Bolingoli. What do we do with him?
He off the books straight away. He should have been terminated, not loaned out. To be honest, that was possibly the most selfish thing you could ever imagine in the climate, and that was right in the height of what was going on. We just got football back, and then he goes and does that.
There was thousands of people dying a day over in the UK.
And they still get 10,000 cases a day over in the UK.
But that's the issue. You had thousands of people dying. You had tens of thousands of people with cases every day, and this guy leaves the country to go get some tail.
Exactly.
That's
So
just a selfish
my
thing.
brother lives there, and he was planning on moving home, and they're stuck. They can't. But yeah, and then this guy, he flies to Spain for 24 hours for whatever. Yeah, I would have terminated him on the spot, paid him out, see ya, if that's it.
The only funny thing though with him, I'm just going to touch on it, is he's the sort of player that would fit Ange's system perfect. Be perfect for Ange in his system. I've said the same about Taylor. Like, I think Taylor's going to make a great development under Ange, but ready to go. The way Ange likes to have attacking fullbacks, Bolingoli would tick every box. And what we said earlier about Ange, where he'll sit down with everyone and give them all a clean start, that's great. But Bolingoli's gone and pretty much.
Yeah, I think he is. I don't think there's no coming back from that. Like, that's because he hasn't stayed at the club. They just got rid of him, and so that's a bit. Yeah, that's a different situation. Like, he hasn't.
Yeah,
that one was too big a thing to get to come back from for me.
We loaned him out so we could have a resale value on him this off season. Yeah. That's pretty much the way I'm thinking.
And hey, look at Sharma. He's gone over there and he's done nothing.
Yep.
I don't think they wanted him.
No.
So
manager left because he rocked up there.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about him.
Okay. So, what areas of the team do you think we need to strengthen?
Defense, 100%. Like, those set plays were killing us all season.
Yep.
But yeah, defense needs to. And I get Aya was a great. He was world-class defender. But yeah, it just seemed the defense. I actually both ends of the ground, to be honest. Like, finishing was. It's funny, like we got Edouard, Aya, two really good players. One did perform, they did both perform, but I still think that's probably our finishing was lacking, and our defense needed to be tightened up.
It's funny though, because we talk about Ange and how his team's all, if you score 3, we'll score 4 sort of thing.
Yeah,
and you're like, if Edouard moves on, then we definitely need to replace him with a quality striker,
big time.
But at the same time, I think we need quality striker or 2, or we promote a Falabi, who I think I've been a big rap on since we signed him, put him into Klamala's spot and bring in a quality striker to replace Edouard. We need a couple of wingers. The central part of midfield I'm happy with. Probably another defensive midfielder to take Bruni's spot in the squad. And then the rest of the money all needs to be spent on the back line. We need 2 right backs. We need 1 left back if we sell Bolingoli. We need probably 2 or 3 centre backs because Julian's out till September, October.
Still, so what did he do actually while we're on that?
Did his knee.
So it was I thought it was a broken leg.
No, it was the knee. I don't know exactly what he did, but he was over in Clairefontaine in France at the training facility they've got over there, and he was just doing all his rehab. But yeah, apparently he's not going to be on the pitch until we're looking at October sort of time. So yeah, so we're going to need at least 2 centre backs because if Aya leaves, you got him. You still got to replace Duffy's spot.
Yep.
So you've got Welsh there, you've got Julian there, who can do a job, but then you need more than 2 centre backs because I don't want to have New Bitton playing centre back going into Europe. So you'd need 3 there, and then you've got to figure out what you're going to do with the goalkeeper situation. Do you bring Matt Ryan in? If you do, great. So all up, there's probably about 9 players or something we've got to bring through. But then at the same time, Ange may come in and look at it and go, Leo Connor, yep, I like the look of you at the training camp. You're going to be one of my right backs, so I only have to sign 1 now. He could look at young Armstrong and go, yep, I like you as a left back. Cool. You go there. I don't need to sign anyone. So then if he does that from his youth academy, that's great. You may look at young Dembele and go, I like you. Extend his contract. Play him as Jamesy's backup at right. Then you need to go get 1 other left midfielder. And then if that happens, great. That means he won't have to sign as much, which means he can then spend more on the players that he does need to. So that's where the training camp's going to really come in handy.
So I saw he's in London. Is he in lockdown? What's the go?
He just came out of it yesterday.
Okay. So yeah, so he met with Mackay.
Yeah, he came out of it, and the day he came out, there was an interview up on Celtic TV and on the YouTube channel and everything. And then he went to the Scotland-England game with Mackay. And the talk is he's going to be up at Lennoxtown Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, that's good. So I watched the Scotland-England game, obviously, yesterday morning. But because I've had my son this weekend, so being sporting prowess hasn't been the greatest.
Been on dad duties, that's understandable.
Yeah, dad duties. But no, it was actually I was still buzzing from Saturday morning. That was such a great result. I know we're celebrating a draw, but what it's the build up to it and them thinking how great they are and prove that they're not.
Yeah,
made me. Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll jump on to another topic then for you. Who would be your all-time favourite Celtic player and why?
When you sent me this, it was still racking my brain. Gary Hooper came to mind. I really liked him, but I'd probably say Tommy Roddy. I know he's a recent one. And I know it's cliche to say Scott Brown because I love Scott Brown's leadership. I've been at times I've taken to my own sporting, just the way he goes about it. I remember particular, was it the New Year's Eve game, and we went down 1-0, and I just to see him get everyone up, like, you know, they scored early and to watch him get everyone up. I'm like, that's a world-class leader. I'll never forget that moment. That was the Invincible year.
Yeah.
Do you know the game I'm talking about? I think we won 2-1 in the end. Yeah. At Ibrox. Because that was the game after Dembele scored the hat-trick, and so they came out and they were clearly on top and scored pretty quick. But yeah, I just watched him rally everyone and bring them back up.
The game, yeah.
Which was good. My first favourite player, and this is showing my age, was George Cadet. So that was when that was the first Celtic game I ever watched. Celtic Rangers, when I was about 9, maybe. Because it was hard out here. Like, I was listening to your previous ones, how you're saying you got VHS sent out. Like, so yeah, in the 90s, Foxtel was just becoming a thing, and so games were sparse.
Yeah,
so
nothing on. Was there
nothing on?
That was it.
It's been very hard to follow Celtic until the dawn of social media. Even still, like, it was like in the 2000s, like when I was teens to my mid-20s, I didn't watch. I couldn't watch. I really went away from sport because I'm a musician. It was a time in my life that I really just focused on music. And even the Brisbane Lions here, I didn't go to a game for about 5 years. Like, I always kept it up to date because you got no choice here. You know what's happening. Yeah. So yeah, that middle period of the 2000s, I didn't really come back on. Wasn't really across it as much. And then with more being an adult, getting Foxtel, and I was able to keep up more. Yeah, you always tend to go with the Australian. Scott McDonald, always loved watching him.
Yep.
And James, and probably the current player would be James Forrest.
Yep. Good.
I really love James Forrest too.
I think this season really turned a lot of people's view around on Jamesy because he's always been a bit of a
big time.
Bit of a whipping boy, and then you see
people giving him hell, but he is such a great player. And you saw, like, when he came on against Czech Republic with Andy Robinson, he just brought the balance back to that to them. We obviously didn't win, but he went back onto the left side and just the balance. We missed him big time.
There's the saying levels, and like if people thought his level was like mid tier 5 out of 10 sort of player, I think absence made the heart grow fonder a bit, where everyone in their mind is now thinking, oh, here's a 7 or an 8 out of 10 every week. We missed that because you look at who was playing in that position. Ryan Christie is good as a central midfielder, as an attacking midfielder.
He's not that, down the wing.
And that's where he played his best for us. Once you got him out on that wing, then it was like ball kept going into row Z, and we're like, where's Forrest? We need Forrest back. Yeah. So your top 5 Celtic players that you've seen in your lifetime. You just rattled off a few there, but is there any that you would want to add to that?
The King, number 1. Like, I remember seeing him as a teenager. He'd score him from anywhere. He was an amazing. And that was just when he left was about the time that I sort of focused on my music. Henrik Larsson for sure. Gary Hooper I really liked. And then more Tommy. Brownie and Scott would be. So a lot of Australians.
An interesting team there that score a lot of goals.
Yeah, big time, So always love the glory I am.
All right. And my last question that I always like to leave the podcast on would be, if you could pick any one player other than Messi or Ronaldo that you've seen play football and wish that they could have signed for Celtic and pulled the hoops on, who would it be?
Actually, the one person I do want to see play for Celtic is Andy Robinson. Apart from, actually, can I add KT to my top 5?
Yeah.
KT, I don't know why I didn't say this, because KT is my favourite player on the planet.
Man crush. There it is.
Yeah, big time. It'd be Andy Robinson for sure. And I just reaffirmed it on Saturday. Just the heart he plays with. And I know he's a fan. Like, he wants to come. He said it will happen, but I can't wait for the day it does happen. To see Andy play, that'd be amazing.
My one issue with him is if he keeps playing at the level he's playing at now, he's not leaving Liverpool anytime soon.
No,
he won't come.
That is the problem. Like
34, 35.
He's going to come when he's 36 or something. Like, well, that's no good to us then.
And at that point,
then that's just a victory lap and like a token gesture. You don't want him to be.
That's called doing a Roy Keane.
Yeah, exactly. And he played 8 games for nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's what my one concern with Robertson is. But if he came in, great, I'd be happy with that. But
that's going to be on Scottish football to be stronger, so that when we play in Europe, we're not just there and playing group stages. We're going into the knockout stages and having a real crack. Like, that's what you want. Like, we see trophies come in all the time. Obviously not this year, but, we've been spoiled. But we really want to see them go to Europe and really, like, people like, shit, going to play at Celtic Park, that's hard work. Or, shit, we've got Celtic coming. This is going to be, you know what I mean? Like,
we want to bring the fear back.
Big time.
Coming to Celtic Park and knowing, it's not just the crowd that's going to be something to look out for.
Yeah, exactly. You want the players to know, you're playing. Like, they're going to know who they're playing against. And, that's not just a Celtic thing. That's a Scottish football thing.
Yep.
I believe.
The TV money thing, in my opinion, as well. That has a lot to do with it.
Mate, that Super League thing, that did my head in. I can't believe of course I was upset about it, but I can't believe I was more shocked how upset it did make me. Like, for a good week, I was just in a shit mood because of it. I'm like, why is this getting to me so much?
Yeah. Because you knew that we'd get dragged into it. That's the thing for me.
That was the thing. I'm like,
because I'm like,
for Celtic or Rangers to say, "Yep, we're involved." Like,
it was as soon as those guys were saying, "Yep, okay, we're off." Then it's like, okay, now it's a British Premier League, and come on down in here. You guys be the big guys, bring your crowds and give us the TV money off the back of your reputation. Yet you never wanted to get us that TV money beforehand. So it was kind of like stuff like that was what gave me the shits more than anything.
And because even Rangers. Like here, there's such a support, isn't there? I know more Celtic and Rangers fans than I do, apart from Man City and Chelsea. I like the big clubs out here than any other club. Like, I don't know many Tottenham fans, that's for sure.
I know. Yeah, so it's you're right. Like Celtic's probably a top 5 supported club over here in Australia.
Oh, big time! It's because we've had so many like ancestry. Like again, mine. That's mine.
It goes right back to the first fleet and for talking about Australia here and all the, the Irish crims that come over here to help build the colony and everything, and the Scottish ones that, there's been a lot of that here the whole time. And then Australian history with a bit of gold rush and a lot of Scottish and Irish people come out for that as well. So, yeah.
Yep.
We're well entrenched over here.
Well entrenched. That exactly. And it's good. I'd love to see it. I missed out. Was it 2009 that Celtic came out here?
Yeah, I think so.
I missed out on that. I would have loved to have. Hopefully one day I get across and get to see them in real life.
That was the best. I've told the story in the pod a few times, but yeah, I was there and I told someone to sit down because she was yelling at Bruni.
Yeah.
And it turns out that was the person my now wife was at that game with.
Oh, gold.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But I'll just have to play in my Celtic jersey for my indoor soccer team, and that's about it at the moment.
Yeah.
That's that's what I love. That's a big rush is I get to play in it. Like I know it again, Thursday night Division 2 soccer, but it's one of my favourite things to do each week is to put that jersey on. I know my teammates might not think the same about me. And again, like I said, it's just a pish muck around league, but even just to run around it makes me feel 10 foot tall.
That's great, yeah. And
you would have seen on Twitter that last year we won the league.
Yep.
Win it, which was a lot of fun, like that. It really, especially 2020 was such a shit year for a lot of people. Like that was by far my standout moment of 2020 was be able to do that.
Well, I'm jealous, mate, because you get to run around, win trophies in the hoops, and just like your heroes back in Glasgow. So more of that to come this year under Aussie Ange.
I reckon so. I reckon watch out. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, who is him?" I'm like, nah. And you know what? It's a bold move by Celtic, but if it pays off, it's going to set a precedence that people are going to like, oh, hang on.
There's more football outside of Europe.
Yeah, exactly right. Would I say there's anyone else in Australia that could probably be that good? But no, not right now. But who says that won't be the case coming, in the future?
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. So what we'll do, Matt, is we'll leave it there. Thanks for having a chat with us for the podcast.
No worries.
Having you on. Come on the hoops and hail, hail.
Hail, hail.